Well, taking the match Athletic Bilbao against Deportivo La Coruña was a very particular match because there were years without a win away for Deportivo. A difficult season. We had our first win after 8 matches against Malaga at home the week before. So now we wanted to push and have that continuity in terms of results. Going to Bilbao is always tough. The environment, the identity of this team has always been a factor, a psychological factor. When I played with Real Madrid there as a player, we always knew that we would go back home with something, maybe some bones broken. It was like a war zone. Bilbao, who was playing with their quite consolidated 4-4-2 or 4-2-3-1, if you want. 4 defenders here, the 2 midfielders, Garcia, their main player, and then Williams, a very fast young striker, and then on the sides there, other players, Susaweta and Cordoba. Bilbao is a team that played quite direct football. So the player in front of our defense with Mosquera had an important role to make sure he would double in case of long balls, especially when Garcia would go up, to make sure we have coverage for the ball that eventually falls behind our defense. With the ball, which actually was very important for me to express to the team, is to kill a little bit the enthusiasm by having a good ball possession, and therefore we asked our Ruben Martinez to start the build-up from the back as much as possible, as fast as possible. We had in the middle 2 players that also were quite good passers, Char and Albentosa. On the right with Juan Fran, who I'll come back to it because he had a very important role in this match, and Luisinho on the left. These players needed to have the personality to break the spirit of the pressure that we were expecting from Bilbao. And I have to say they did it quite well in that match. Mosquera had the quality to be the spider in the web in that first phase of the field, because I like to divide phase 1, phase 2 and phase 3, zone 1, 2 and 3, where all players know more or less where we need to defend or where we need to make pressure. Then the midfielders, we had Borges and Michael Condali, who also had a very fundamental task in the game. Michael more as a playmaker, and Borges more as a player who would be the surprising factor getting into the box of the adversary. And this is actually how we scored our second goal, if I'm correct. And we wanted to use a lot Juan Fran to push on the side. This guy could run for 90 minutes going up and down on the sides. Having Čolak, who would play behind the striker, Čolak, our Turkish guy, who also would create then the triangle with Juan Fran and Michael Condeli. I asked our strikers to stay as much as possible in the middle, but eventually, go and help if needed on the sides as well. But we wanted to occupy the box of the adversary with our 2 strikers. We created quite some opportunities to put the ball in the box with the surprise factor, because Bilbao liked to double, even if in the box. They got quite some goals against in that season. So this was actually the situation that I wanted to create, where the right back would be occupying himself with helping the other defenders, and then having Borges coming in as a surprise factor. One of our goals, I think the second one, we created the overlap, which is something I really like to see. And then Perez, I think, came back with the ball, put it in second post, the ball was put in with a header, and then we had Adrian who scored the goal, the second goal. This was, you know, we say you plan things. It's not about planning things. You cannot plan these things out, but you can create the conditions for the play, ask them to do what their qualities are, and his quality was definitely to come in the box a lot of times. We could have used him more in this match. To use the quality of Juan Fran to come up and to give Crondelli the possibility to get more balls on his feet and to use his qualities as well in terms of passing. Čolak, give him the freedom to move around in between the lines and to create problems for the adversary. And to be very aggressive, because the moment we were talking about this situation here, my defenders had to be very high. So this gave us the possibility to be very aggressive when we lost the ball eventually in the last zone of the field. And this have given us the the 1-0 and the 2-0 in the first half. I said the first 20 minutes, they're going to come for us, but we need to go for them. And that was, very well implemented by the team. The spirit was there. Second half, the guy who scored it twice, Adrian, had a big ankle in the dressing room, and we had to sub him for Borja. Other thing that I always like to do is to prepare my substitutions, mainly up front. I like for my substitution to come in and to continue to give the spirit to the team to attack and to score goals, which is the best way to defend in my philosophy. Rather than adapt and to sit back and then leave the ball in the hands of the adversary by calling them to your goal. I did one thing second half, is that we instead of playing with a diamond, we started playing to defend better and also have the possibility to counterattack. I pushed on the sides Crondelli, and I think it was Perez that I put on the other side. So we had practically the same system as Bilbao was playing, and we could more easily defend their pressure, because they were pressing a lot second half, and we were a little bit more solid. And then we scored 3-1, which was the pressure from Borja, who came in, by the way, for Adrian. Pressure in transition from attack to defense, and then we played vertical. After that, we got the ball back. I think it was Perez who ended up being in this position, more or less. We got the ball back in this area, and when Borja pressured the guy in the midfield, I think it was Borges who gave the ball. Overlap was coming, but the same Borja came in the box with the ball played on the first post, and he scored the 3-1, which was very important at that point of the match, because we had a lot of pressure from Bilbao. And then that was the game, and then they scored another goal, which actually was a free kick for us. But yeah, this was more or less the tactics that were implemented in this match, and that gave us the second victory in a row.